comics are stupid.
No Harry Potter movie is good.
And you're like, give me the Snyder Cut. Oh, sorry, just walk in front of you here. Gonna put my popcorn down. Oh, sorry, gotta put this here.
Universal needs to sue Sony.
Hey, I'm an idiot. I was fired from Fox. Let me go.
I'd like actually to see Venom just crush Spider-Man.
Hello everyone. So I've got a few things on my mind, and so I'm just gonna let it out in a rant, because that's what one does when one gets angry with Twitter. So, yeah, let's start talking about stuff. I don't know where this is gonna go. This is obviously unprepared, as technically all my videos are, so there's that aspect to it. But yeah, this will just be me venting about stupid people on the internet. Okay, yeah, so let's start. So last night I was scrolling through Twitter, right? And I had come across a Screen Rant tweet. And then there's another tweet I came across this morning, which I'll talk about in a minute. And this, I'm going to try to find the Screen Rant tweet quickly. Because it was something I found very interesting. Here it is. Godzilla director Adam Wingard has enough extra footage for a 5-hour cut of the movie, but don't hold your breath for a director's cut. For me, quote, "For me, this is the version that worked best. I don't see any reason to do a director's cut." Now, this is the idea, right? And then there were people saying, "Oh my God," including other major news publications saying, "Oh my God, we need a director's cut of this. Where's a 5-hour movie?" And this is the thing, which I wanted to just mention in regards to this. You don't need a 5-hour cut just because, you got the Snyder Cut, which was 4 hours. It doesn't mean every movie needs to be 17 hours. Yes, of course they have footage for a 5-hour film. That's what editing is for. That is the point of filmmaking. Filmmaking, you create an assembly cut. You had Infinity War's assembly cut, which was extremely long. But then you know what happens when you have that assembly cut? It's not a finished product because it's not polished. It's not concise. Because the other thing, you can't just say, here's a 20-hour movie of, just no cuts. Because that gets boring. You have to make sure it goes fast. You gotta make sure you can keep the general audience interested. That is the whole point of filmmaking. The reason it is so easy is because you have to understand where to cut and how to make it more concise and how to make it better. You can't just turn on the camera, let's see what happens, and then release 5-hour movie. That's not. The Justice League situation is a very, very unique example of a 4-hour movie. Endgame is a very unique example of even a 3-hour movie, right? Endgame was done, in because they had gotten to this point, and even then, I even said, there were slow parts of this, and they didn't need to be 3 hours. They could have been 2.5, and it would have been fine, or 2 hours and 45 minutes. I didn't think it needed to be 3 hours, but it was, it had earned the runtime to be a 3-hour movie. You have to earn the runtime. Justice League, they wanted to give the final vision of 2 parts of a movie to Zack Snyder, so he created a 2-part movie in one. So yes, there is an aspect, there are certain exceptions to this. But realistically, especially because you look at theaters, right? In theaters, you don't want a long movie because guess what? The theaters can't show it multiple times, right? If you've got let's say you've got a 4-hour movie, right? Theaters open, let's say, at noon, and theaters close, let's say, at midnight, right? So you've got from 12 to 12. So what are they doing? They're showing this 4 to 5, let's say 5-hour movie. Let's say they release a 5-hour assembly cut of a movie, right? You play it once, Oh, Loki just released a trailer. We're gonna have to get back. I'm gonna talk about that. Don't worry. As soon as I finish recording this, actually. So, anyways, yes, back to what I was saying. Noon. You've got noon to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. That's 5 o'clock. You've shown one film. One movie from 12 to 5 hours. You've shown one movie. Do you understand that that's not a good business model? And then the fact that a lot of this stuff is unfinished. It's not all usable footage. A lot of it is just, basic, because you're not going to invest in creating this footage and the effects, the monster take up effects. Guess what? It's expensive, and you're not gonna be not gonna invest all this money making it polished because they know it's not coming out. You only really polish the footage you plan on using, right? And that's the thing people forget. Yes, it's a natural part of filmmaking to have 6 hours or 5 hours of just general footage, which then you decide, okay, this is the important parts. This is how to make. Cutting movies is like the most important part of filmmaking. So I think it's very naive for people to be kind of trying to get this because it's just not the way it works. And then the other thing I saw this morning, I saw another tweet, and this tweet had said that what was it? Oh yeah, Mortal Kombat is an hour and I think it was 58 minutes or something, or 56 minutes. And you can't get the actual and I would give credit to the Twitter user, but I just do not remember the tweet. I didn't save it. I just saw it when I was scrolling. And then you have to give credit to but yeah, 1 hour and 50 minutes, whatever, and it isn't enough time to develop the characters. It needs a long movie, right? And this was another kind of word. This was kind of like, after that last night, this kind of revamped my anger toward this, and basically said, and that's when I decided to click record. So, essentially, right, people don't understand is this isn't like, you can make a very good, so what I did actually, as soon as I did that, I looked up movies under 2 hours. Best movies under 2 hours. Because I was curious, and I was like, okay, let's see what movies are under 2 hours. So, and I found a times list of the best movies according to critics under 2 hours. And I found a few that I wanted to mention. Number 22 on this times list is Mad Max Fury Road. That's under 2 hours. That is a very well done movie where you develop characters very well. The next movie under 2 hours is Inside Out. You also have Get Out. You have The Wizard of Oz, which I understand is the same, but you've got that. You've got a bunch of the Pixar and Disney movies. You got Up, Zootopia, Baby Driver, the Gravity, Argo, Finding Nemo, The Social Network, The Jungle Book, Moana, How to Train Your Dragon, Kubo and the Two Strings, Arrival, Room, The King's Speech, True Grit, WALL-E, The Incredibles. You have The Incredibles under 2 hours, and yet that's a very well character developed movie, right? It's not like 2 hours isn't enough time. Yes, maybe 2.5 hours. Yeah, a typical movie is only, nowadays, for the most part, from 2 hours to 2.5 hours. Typically movies don't go on much longer than that. Godzilla and I think the tweet also said, oh, this isn't a movie about, monsters punching monsters, implying Godzilla being only 2 hours or an hour and 56 or whatever it was. But it's not about that. Like there is a lot of good movies like The Incredible, like Moana, like Zootopia, like Argo, right? These movies are under 2 hours, and yet they do develop the character. True Grit, right? Like these movies, they develop characters really well in under 2 hours because that's the art of cutting. I know that people like to joke about, Zack Snyder doesn't know how to cut. Well, he doesn't because he has to make a 4-hour movie, and now again, Zack Snyder Justice League is different because you're trying to set up characters who should have been set up in their own movies, but it's not impossible to do. It's not like they're making a 2-hour movie. Now, again, always, Marvel knows this very well. If you want to develop a character before you put them together in a movie to make it less work, then you can focus on other aspects of the movie rather than character development in terms of all the characters. Then yes, standalone movies beforehand would be great. But there's a reason Marvel does it. Like, Marvel didn't release Avengers and have all of Iron Man's story in there, and all of the Hulk story, and all of the Captain America story. No. You had Iron Man 2, Captain America, the first Avenger. You had the Incredible Hulk, where you had all these stories prior to the Avengers. And then the Avengers comes in, and they only have to really develop Black Widow, who was already in Iron Man 2, and Hawkeye. Right? Like, there's a substantially less... Wait, was Iron Man 2? The Iron Man 2 was before. There's a substantially less pressure for Joss Whedon to develop the characters, right? So yes, ideally you have good solo movies which develop characters before you bring them together, but that's not always the case, and it's been done before. The Incredibles is a prime example of a group of characters who are developed and then have a movie. You won't get a 12-hour fight scene. So I'm sorry, but a lot of it will be character development, and then you'll get your fight scene. And I really want to watch that Loki trailer for some reason. But yeah, that's kind of the point in regards to that. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was awards and Oscars, and because this is something which I don't think I've ranted about enough. Because it's something which I have a lot of issues with, especially, this year. And I understand this year's different because of the pandemic and the issues that's causing, but still, it very much is annoying. So in the awards season, right, the Oscars nominate movies. Now, Best Picture is what I want to really focus on here because it's the easiest way to kind of, break down my issues. So Best Picture historically in the past has been, there have only been a handful of spots. I think it's 5, and then it kind of varied for a bit. Now it's kind of stabilized more around 7, if I'm not mistaken. Those numbers could be off, I don't know. But it was initially a certain amount of movies, then it kind of increased, it varied in terms of the numbers for a few years, and then it kind of settled at 7, or something like that. I think there's 7 currently. And essentially, my biggest issue is, you've got an award show which needs the viewership and, strives to get that viewership, right? Of the people who are watching the awards. And guess what happened? I'll tell you what happened, so you don't have to guess. You get, sometimes, especially, you go back, and I went back, there's some years, you'd have like 3 of the 5 movies being kind of these big picture movies, right? There's the year of Toy Story 3, which was that year had a bunch of good nominees for Best Picture. And in terms of the movies that are recognizable, not small art house films, which I understand need recognition, but I don't believe should be the vast majority, right? So if you had 5 movies nominated for Best Picture, most times there'd be like a Taxi Driver, or there would be, Pulp Fiction, or there would be, whatever the case may be. One of those movies would get nominated, and the rest would kind of be these small movies which people don't worry about. And then, right, so there would be like that idea of the Once Upon a Time Hollywoods, right? Those kind of bigger movies that are more art, that are award films, but at the same time not. Like Bookie Nights, that's another one. And then you've got your kind of second tier movies, the Nomadlands, the Moonlight, even the Hidden Figures to an extent, even La La Land to an extent, the movies which are kind of like, essentially, in most parts, boring, for the most part, and movies which the majority of people don't gravitate toward. La La Land and Hidden Figures were different, but the majority of those movies are like that. And I think that, it was made more sense, okay, you've got your 3 art house films, and then your 1 or 2 kind of more publicly known movies, but then you continue to go on in time, right? There's a few good years, and then it kind of falls back into the old patterns, where there's 1 or 2, but instead of the 3 other movies, the 3 art house movies with 1 or 2, now it's 1 or 2, which we all know really have no chance of winning, and like the rest, the rest, the 5 are not interesting movies, right? And that ratio hasn't managed to stay evolved with the number of movies increasing, right? You would assume that the ratio of art house films to blockbuster kind of thing would change, right? Or blockbuster, I say with air quotes, because not really blockbusters, like, I'm not saying nominate every blockbuster, I'm saying more movies that people are, watch and enjoy watching, and movies that are, like this year, you've got The Father, the only movie you could argue that has that mass appeal is probably The Trial of the Chicago 7. I'm not even sure if that had mass appeal. So I think that's the big, you've got, now granted, again, this year I understand there are very few movies to choose from, but at the same time, I think that this problem has kind of been, emphasized in years where you see movies like Black Panther, yes, get nominated, but we all know they have no chance of winning. And, then the Parasites and all these movies winning, and it's great. I'm not complaining that they're winning, but at the same time, Nomadland's win, and then, the movie which people want to watch or which would be interesting for people, it's kind of like songs. They're much easier. A lot of people, will listen to a lot more songs. So therefore, songs, what ends up winning is more based on popularity, just because of the nature of, the way songs are done. But movies is not that case. Movies and I think this is a problem that's fundamentally in terms of the broken system in which it's voting for. And I also believe that with opening it up to more bigger movies, you will actually end up having diversity go hand in hand, natural diversity. Because by opening it up to bigger films which use more people, you're just naturally going to and also Hollywood, which with the major studios who try to, appeal to different demographics, you're going to inevitably have more representation, right? Think about it. Guess what? If they nominated Michael B. Jordan from Black Panther for his role as Eric Killmonger in Best Supporting Actor, that is a guy who would add diversity to that category, right? You inevitably will have more women directors, more actors of color. You inevitably, based on the fact that Hollywood does try to appeal to a large variety of people, as opposed to smaller films, where maybe you won't add that to the same extent. So I do believe that nominating 4 or 5 movies that are more appealing to people, leaving 1 or 2 that aren't as appealing, would actually allow for more diversity naturally. And then for the Oscars and the other award shows to not have the same issue of diversity and, gender diversity and race diversity, right? Because you would actually have that. And so I think that is kind of the idea here, and I think that, yeah, that's really it. I mean, it's very annoying, but, what can you do? So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you have any opinions on these issues? Let me know. Don't forget to do all the stuff like liking and subscribing and commenting, because it makes me happy when people do that. And, that's it. I know this is like a 17-minute video, and it's very unlikely I'll cut this down. So I'm going to stop talking so it doesn't end up as a 20-minute video. Thank you, and see you all next time. Bye.